All right, y'all. Top 5 power forwards heading to 2022, 2023. Number 1 might be pretty obvious. Should be unanimous. No debate on this one. This player has a strong case to be made that he's actually the best player in the world, let alone the best power forward in the world. That player is Giannis. All right, Giannis, number 1 top power forward. It doesn't need too much of a deep analysis. It's Giannis, and then there's everyone else. That could change maybe, by the end of this year. But as of right now, yeah, nah. It's 1,000% Giannis.
I don't think it's going to probably change. Unless he, doesn't play or
Well, I
something
mean,
like that.
yeah.
We still give players, even if they're hurt, the benefit of doubt, because that's what I'm doing with my number 2.
So to be clear, you have Giannis at number 1?
Of course. Yeah, of course.
All right. We got to make sure it's set. We got to make sure it's
Giannis number 1. I mean, like you said,
yes.
it's nothing really to break down. Or if you're arguably the best player in the world, I don't think we have to question if you're number 1 in your position.
Yeah. So all right. Number 1, I got Giannis. Who do you have at number 2?
Anthony Davis. I can't even get the word out.
You want Anthony Edwards at number 2?
No, you know how I feel about my Anthony's.
Crazy.
Anthony Davis. I still think Anthony Davis, when healthy, other than Giannis Antetokounmpo, is the second best power forward in the game. I think Anthony Edwards. I keep saying Edwards. Jesus Christ.
You want Anthony Edwards? My goodness.
I know, it's crazy.
Anthony Davis. Anthony
Davis. I still feel like Anthony Davis is still arguably one of the top 5 most talented players in the league. But it's just kind of like he just needs to stay on the court. I mean, we know what he's about. He can score a variety of ways. He can defend. Great two-way player. And once again, when he's healthy, it's not too many players that most people are taking over Anthony Davis. So Anthony Davis, to me, coming at number 2, I think it's only right. I'm still giving him the benefit of doubt. I know he didn't really play that much last year, but when he's on and when he's right and when he's, mentally engaged all the time as well, because sometimes he checks out during the regular season sometimes, just like some other superstars. But when he's on, he's on. So Anthony Davis, number 2.
Yeah, I think this one also is pretty obvious. Number 2. I think this also shouldn't be a debate as to who you have at number 2. Injuries aside, it's clear as day. Anthony Davis is one of you can argue he's probably one of the most skilled / talented players in the league. I know people have their opinions about work ethic and injury history and all that. Well, now technically he's still an NBA champion. Let's make that very clear. And on top of that, there aren't too many big men that you would probably take over a healthy Anthony Davis. And obviously with the time off, hopefully that's done him some good. And I think he's probably the Laker that has the most to prove this season, including Russell Westbrook.
I think
so. Because that's the case, I have him at 2.
Now, I think regardless of what happens with Russell Westbrook in the Los Angeles Lakers, I know what LeBron's going to do, but it's not really on LeBron. LeBron is entering year 20. It's on Anthony Davis. Like, the Lakers are going to be either a play-in team or a championship contender. It all depends on Anthony Davis because, he has to be the guy. He's in his prime. LeBron James won him for a reason. Last time we saw him in a real, healthy situation, he arguably looked like the best player in the world during the 2020 playoffs. I say it all the time. Even though LeBron James won the NBA Finals MVP, Anthony Davis, his impact on both sides on the court throughout that entire playoffs was extremely special. So I feel like the Lakers season is going to depend on Anthony Davis. And like you said, this really shouldn't be too much of a question. I still think it's Giannis 1 for the power forward position and Anthony Davis. Number 3 for me, Theus, Zion Williamson. I think Zion, it's crazy. It's the second time I'm about to talk about health. When healthy, Zion, you can pencil him in 25 and 10, damn near. That's what he is. He's a double-double machine. He can score inside at the first level of the basketball court. And it's just kind of hopefully this time off, he's got the chance to improve on his skill set. I always say I feel like he should start his skill set journey early on his career and not wait till later. We saw extremely athletic players, then they tend to wait to kind of start their skill set journey. I think Zion Williamson should start that early on in his career and not wait like a Blake Griffin did when the athleticism started to deteriorate. Then he was like, oh, Blake Griffin is like really, really skilled. He worked on his game. Like I hope Zion Williamson is doing that now. But to me, Zion Williamson at number 3.
Same here. It's unfortunate that we agree, but I mean, I think the power forwards one is kind of lame. I mean, you would think the center one, the one for the center, would be like, oh damn, okay. But the power forward one is because it's like it's so obvious, and in the situation, it's like, all right, well, literally 1, 2, and 3 are clear cut. Like there's no other name that I feel like should be 1,000% over them or even mentioned in the same conversation. But I'm going with Zion as well. Again, same situation as Anthony Davis. If he can remain healthy, Zion is one of, a great young talent as well. Now, again, we talk so often, but I think the next step for him is winning and playing. I guess you reverse that order, but playing and winning. The talent is there, even though, we've kind of seen a small, somewhat sample size, relatively speaking, but at the same time, when he's on the court, feel me, he's there.
Yeah.
But that's just the question mark, if you will, is can he do this consistently? Which, again, I think he can. Anytime, you already have CJ and BI on the team, you now added an all-star kind of guy in Zion. Things get pretty crazy in New Orleans. But yeah, to me, that's a perfect word for it. It's like bigs have a tough time guarding him because he's so quick, and obviously smaller guys have a tough time guarding him because of his strength. So when you combine those two things, like, well, damn, who is expected to guard him on a night-to-night basis? But yeah, I got Zion 3.
I hope Zion Williamson gets back to like his defensive capabilities, like what we saw when he was in college. That's what I'm eager to see because I know the offense is going to be there. He's a paint bully. Like he's unstoppable at the first level in the basketball court. Like you said, like bigger defenders have a hard time staying in front. Smaller defenders, like he's going to bully them to the paint and on the low block. But this is kind of like his defense. Like hopefully we can see some chase down blocks. Some like maybe a better effort on the perimeter side of the ball when we talk about defense from Zion Williamson. I don't feel like he's going to be a super great perimeter defender, but like he's capable, like he should be because, like you said, he's 6'6". I know he got a lot of weight on him, but it's just like he should be able to guard on the perimeter. Like hopefully he's worked on some of that part of his game, not just the offense, because we always talk about the offensive side when we talk about skill set and like improving your skill set, but you can improve your skill set on the defensive side as well. So Zion Williamson, number 3.
And the Pelicans are definitely going to need it. I mean, they don't have too many like defenders. I know so often we talk about the offensive firepower that they have, which is there, but like it's not too many guys that are known, that are truly known for defense.
They got Jones. They got.
But I'm saying though, it's not like
Brandon
it's like
Ingram,
it's
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah,
like they're like their top guys aren't really like two-way or at least known for being two-way. It ain't like the Clippers.
Just really like Brandon Ingram. Like when you talk about like offensively and defensively, it's like okay, he can get you 25 on the offense, and he also can guard probably Paul George and Kawhi Leonard and Jason Tatum at times. Like,
and even
I definitely get what you're saying.
Yeah, and even like the Celtics, right? We talking about Jalen and Jason. Like you got two guys that, it's two-way.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So if they're gonna win, obviously again we know what him, BICJ can do offensively, but scoring wise,
he has a lot of. That's perfect as you said that because like Zion really acts when we talk about potential like defensively, like he's strong enough to stay with some bigs. He's super athletic to like block shots and rim protect at times. It's just like he should like call up Draymond and be like, "Yo, Dre, let's get in the lab and like let's help me out with some, my defensive IQ and my defensive part of my game." Because he's capable. If Draymond's capable, and Zion's probably stronger than Draymond, and probably I want to say quicker as well. So it's just like, hey, I would love to see that.
Right, you and me both. You mentioned Draymond, obviously, being he's another power forward that can be talked about. Yeah. Quick question for you though, before I say my next player. What position are we saying Ben Simmons is?
Wow. Probably
Just wanna.
Yeah, I mean, it's really a point guard. I mean, but
all right. Hey,
really. I mean,
I'm asking this because
I'm saying that's they list him. What do they list him at? Always because he's really a forward. He's really
he's 6'10". So I mean,
he's really a forward.
All right. Well, so
yeah, I'm not mad at it. You can say. What you gonna say? Yeah, it's tough. Would you?
So I'm not gonna say that Ben Simmons is a power forward, but I will say that he's better than the players that I'm getting, or I would prefer him over the players that I'm getting ready to say. Either way, if we're not listening to him as a power forward, that's fine. This one goes to our friends up north. Shout out to Toronto. I'm gonna go Pascal Siakam.
Go.
You know, I think those comparisons that happened before with the Tatum and Paul George and things like that. I think we also have to remember though that Pascal is still an NBA champion. I do like what the Raptors are doing. They got a lot of guys that we talk about two-way. That's another team like that. But yeah, I have Pascal. It'll be interesting to see what Toronto does as a whole this season. But I like Pascal. I think if he can continue to improve on his shooting and things like that, I think he'll continue to be do some great things in this league. But I got Pascal at 4. I thought about another player, another champion right there, but I'm gonna go with Pascal at 4.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Karl Anthony Towns. I think
I thought about that, but I have him as a center, but just because he's playing with Rudy Gobert.
I mean, but his natural position, he's really a stretch 4. Really, I know he's been playing a center position, but he's really and truly a stretch 4. But if you don't want me to say it, if you want to,
I mean, hey, it's your list. I mean, at the end of the day, we don't gotta have the same. You know what I'm saying?
No, that's
so
fine.
if you got Cat, go ahead.
I'll go with Cat. Because even though, like you said, like he plays the center position, I think he's gonna be in his true natural position, which is a 4. Like we know that he's arguably, one of the greatest big man shooters this game has ever seen. If you consider a center, probably the greatest big man center of all time. But like, just for like bigs in general, it's not too many bigs that can shoot the pill the way Karl Anthony Towns does. I mean, he had a 60-point performance in the regular season for a reason. Like he's talented, he's skilled. I think he's gonna probably take a step back this year, which is gonna allow Anthony Edwards to kind of like say, "Yo, this is your team now," and I think that's gonna be better for him because it doesn't allow him to have so much pressure and expectations on his shoulders. I think he's more naturally better at being probably a number 2 option on a championship caliber team than being a number 1. Because we always talk about like the reason why I pick wings over Nikola Jokic, Joel Embiid all the time, because this is a wings league. Like you're more likely to win a championship when your guy is a wing compared to your best player being a center. I think the Minnesota Timberwolves kind of like made some moves this offseason for Anthony Edwards because they realized that, Anthony Edwards has to be the guy to take us to where we want to be other than Karl Anthony Towns. So,
yeah. And to be clear too, I think if we both are agreeing that Anthony has to be the guy, he has to be the number 1 option, that doesn't mean that Cat has to fall off. Right, like this isn't a situation. All right, we're gonna give the ball to to Ant more. That means Cats do less. I still think that in order for them to win a championship, they both have to be playing at a high level. I just think it has to be 1 and 2 as opposed to one night it's him, one night it's the other guy. Like let's be very clear. Like this isn't a KD and Steph situation, right? Like it's a very unique where it's like okay, we see the potential of Anthony Edwards. Like we see, and you mentioned it before, like how he could possibly be the best shooting guard in the league. If we're seeing that at such a young age, I think as an organization, you got to sit here and say, okay, give him the keys and let's run. But I'm not mad at Cat for, especially too, like I said, if you have him listed as a power forward. But who do you have rounding out your 5?
It was tough because I want to say Evan Mobley for my 5th spot. But I'm going to give the edge to Pascal Siakam because I feel like Pascal Siakam, even if some people feel like he's not a true number 1 option on a playoff caliber team, it's just like he's still kind of like in that role. He's kind of been, somewhat successful in doing that. And he's a champion. And it's just kind of like he plays both sides of the ball and he can get you 20 and 7 a game, sometimes as high as 25, depending on like if he's right and he's fully healthy. So, and he's very unselfish. So I'm got to give the edge to Pascal. I think people are sleeping on him. People are kind of forgot like, if he was in a number 2 or number 3 option role like he was when they won the championship, where he was kind of like he could try to offense like Kawhi Leonard. Then you had Kyle Lowry and Pascal Siakam. Pascal was kind of like the second option, but sometimes he can be the third option. If he's in that type of role, like it gets serious for a lot of like teams that may need a player of his caliber.
Yeah.
Shout out Memphis Grizzlies because go get it done.
Yeah, and you always talk too about team fit and team situations, and some guys thrive in certain roles. Right? Obviously, everyone in the league is for the most part talented, but at the same time, some of them excel when they have certain responsibilities. And I think Pascal definitely showed that. But also, too, I will give him credit is that he still was there, if you will, when Kawhi left. It wasn't like, okay, he was only good at his second or third role. Even when his responsibilities had to increase, he still, was like, okay, there's still evidence that he was still like that. But you mentioned the name Evan Mobley too, and it's like that one is kind of tough for me too, listening to him as a power forward. I think it's because both guys, him and Cat, they're playing with someone else who will be playing that center position, but I still consider them centers.
I feel like
Jared Allen and Rudy Gobert.
But I feel like that's their natural position because like if you look at what Karl-Anthony Towns does best, it ain't having his back to the basket. It's stretching from the floor.
Yeah, but I don't like that.
You know?
Shit.
So it's like Evan Mobley as well. Like Evan Mobley can do a lot of things. Like his, he's a Chris Bosh disciple. What was Chris Bosh? Chris Bosh was a 4. Chris Bosh can score right away. Chris Bosh can rebound. That's Evan Mobley. So that's why I feel like he's a 4 and not necessarily truly a 5. Like he can play the 5. Like some of these guys we talk like Karl-Anthony Towns can play the 5 and stuff like that. If you don't have a 4, but it's just like when you got a good 5, it's just like they get to play their natural position. And a center I'm gonna talk about when we go over the centers list. I feel the same way about him, but he doesn't have a 4. But I'm gonna wait till that list comes. We talk about it.
And it's funny that you mentioned Chris Bosh. Shout out to Chris Bosh too, because they had him playing the 5 sometimes in Miami, and Chris Bosh is not a 5. Obviously, it worked. You feel me? They got the chips, but the guys that you mentioned, I do agree. With Cat and Evan, they they can probably play both positions, and it works. But again, Chris to me is more of a natural straight up 4. But again, obviously, when you're playing with LeBron James, everybody got to make adjustments. And again, it worked out, but. So for my 5, my 5th one, I'm going to go with another NBA champion. As a matter of fact, this player has won multiple NBA championships, and that's Draymond Green. I think Draymond Green still to this day is one of the more underappreciated players in the league. I know everyone nowadays loves scoring and putting the ball in the hoop, but it's tough to think that those Warriors teams could win a championship without the play of Draymond Green. I think when you kind of look at stat lines and for people that fall in love with analytics and all that shit, it's like, oh, well, Draymond Green isn't this, he's not that. But if you take him away, right, at the end of the day, Draymond really is the heart and soul of that Warriors team. And I think if they're going to repeat, right, if he's going to get ring number 5, he's going to have to play even more of a role, right? Because again, they still have that target on their back. But yeah, I'm going to go with Draymond at 5. Obviously one of the better defenders in this league. We done seen him put a lot of players in hell. Right? Everyone loved the Splash Bros and Jordan Poole and those guys that get flashy. But we done seen Draymond put a lot of your favorite bigs and perimeter players in hell. And that, again, doesn't get talked about because he's not shooting from 40 feet. But to be very clear, Draymond Green is an extremely important part of this Warriors roster this upcoming season. So I got him at 5.
Yeah, I'm not mad at it. I mean, I think it's more of a respect thing and longevity thing. Right now,
yeah, but
why you have it at 5.
But also too, it's I think some
bad.
of it too is the position. Like this position isn't as deep as the one position. So yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Some of it is a tip of the cap, but it's not like
position. Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. Yeah, honestly, literally in the position we just went over before this episode. But it's also not like like, oh shit, we got 10 power forwards. Let me just throw, Draymond Green.
I respect that. And also, when you playing games at the highest level, we get to see what you do at the highest level for a long period of time. That does help. Like I love Evan Mobley, but what game has he played that matter? You know what I'm saying? So it's just like you have to ask those questions when you start like, okay, we can't just base things on talent and skill set because if that's the case, then I could have you can make a case that like, Zion Williamson could have been as high as number 2, honestly, or Evan Mobley could be top 4. So it's just like, it depends on like what we're talking about. So I think playing important games definitely matter and your impact that you have on important games definitely, deserves some credit when we talk about some of these lists.
Yeah, for sure. Especially Zion, man, because Zion and AD, I'm not going to say that you don't know what you're getting, but like, again, when they play, what I'm saying though, I mean like, like when they're on the court, they're on the court. That part, I'm not, confused. I'm just saying, are they playing 70 games? Or are they playing 40? That's what I mean. So, but we'll see. So name your, drop your top 5 again, power forwards.
Top 5 power forwards heading into the 22-23 NBA season. My first one was Giannis Antetokounmpo, Anthony Davis, number 2, Zion Williamson, number 3. My number 4 was Karl Anthony Towns. Number 5 was Pascal Siakam.
Okay, good list, solid list. So my top 5 power forwards heading into the 2023 season. I have number 1, Giannis. Number 2, Anthony Davis. All right, number 3, Zion. Number 4, Pascal. And last but not least, at number 5, I got Draymond Green. That's a solid list to me. Solid list. I think, definitely, it'll be interesting to see if AD can, make the gap a little, I'll say, smaller between him and Giannis, as well as Zion. If he can make the gap smaller between him and Anthony Davis, but those three, after that, it gets
better hope so for the Lakers' sake. That's all I'm gonna say.
Oh yeah, agendas have to get pushed. But yeah, make sure you subscribe to No Pump Fakes on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, as well as Spotify. Again, make sure you subscribe to No Pump Fakes on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, as well as Spotify. And just like that, y'all, we gone. Peace. What's up, y'all? It's Theus McBee. Make sure you go follow No Pump Fakes on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever you listen to your podcasts.